welcome to episode 57 of Bloodline versus the Bloodline, the podcast where we discuss what would happen when cast members of the network show Bloodline face off with the WWE legendary faction, the Bloodline. This week, Adam, we're talking Friday Night Lights versus Friday Night SmackDown as Kyle Chandler takes on the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns.
That was good. That was good.
Thanks. Who we doing?
Kyle Chan.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He's been in Scorsese movies.
Oh, yeah.
What's Roman Reigns been in?
Yeah.
Hobbs and Shaw. Shut up. It's episode 57, Middle-Aged Outlaws.
I'm good. It's very, very, very warm, but good. Yeah. How about you?
Hot and... Yep, same. It's just ridiculous. It's not
No,
Scottish winter.
we choose to live in Scotland. So you sign up for grey skies and rain.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This is what Greta Thunberg was talking about all this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we'll just deal with it. You'll forgive us if we sound a little sweaty. Imagine living in a part of the world where it's like this all the time.
Nah, I couldn't. Do you get used to it? I couldn't get used to it.
You can't.
Nah.
Anyway, we are here. We're making our way through. We are plundering through our 2005-2006 Edge journey. We are at September 2005. It's a good thing that we picked a wrestler to follow when he doesn't actually wrestle on many of the pay-per-views.
It's not like it was planned.
No,
it's
like a wee, nice wee surprise.
Yeah.
Would you like to go to September 2005 and I'll rekindle some lovely memories in your mind?
Oh yeah, let's go.
Let's do it. Okay, I'm going to remind you what was number ones the last time.
Okay.
Actually, I could just tell you that they're not the same as last time. It's not that Mariah Carey. I belong to you song.
I still didn't remember its name. Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay. In September 2005, some albums released. PCD by the Pussycat Dolls, the debut album.
Okay.
How to Save a Life by The Fray.
Okay.
The Minstrel Show by Little Brother. It's a great album.
Okay.
Have a Nice Day by Bon Jovi.
Oh yeah.
So we're talking some rather mediocre music being put out around about this time. Some singles. Fix You by Coldplay.
Oh.
We're
Yeah.
obviously getting at that depressing time of year. My Humps by Black Eyed Peas, and that's one of your favourites.
Oh, yeah. You'll find me on the dance floor every single time that comes on. Yep.
I don't know if anybody's ever actually answered the question, what are you going to do with all that junk?
Yeah. I'll shy away from that one.
To be fair, maybe Fergie did answer it in the song. Anyway, Do You Want To or Do You Wanna by Franz Ferdinand? Another one.
Mm-hmm.
Out round about this time. Elsewhere music, we've got Kelly Clarkson, Kanye West and Green Day winning MTV Video Music Awards. Which is interesting. Do you remember when the VMAs were like quite a big thing?
Yeah, I did they still do it?
Sure, no.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they do. Maybe they do. I don't know.
Mm.
And probably one of the biggest pop stars to ever grace the shores of the UK, Peter Andre, wed Katie Price.
Okay. Fair enough.
Also known as Jordan. Some movies. Some movies released round about this time.
It's good to know we're just here to entertain ourselves, really.
Yeah, it really is. The Transporter 2. Green Street. I think it's also known as something else in the US, known as like, is it maybe just called Green Street Hooligans
I was
like
looking for it on Amazon, I think, and I was like, that's not it. That must be a sequel, but it was the right film. I think it is Green Street Hooligans. Right. It's called.
Flight Plan. David Fincher directed.
Yep.
That's quite a good film. The Exorcism, Emily Rose, which I enjoyed.
I saw that at the cinema.
Did you? Nice.
Yeah.
It's a good film.
Yeah.
Genuinely creepy. Into the Blue with Paul Walker and Jessica Alba.
Classic.
And Scott Caan. Shawn Michaels. So there you go. just a little hint for you, none of those movies were at number one for the UK or the US.
Damn it.
I know. I'm sorry. So in 2005 in wrestling, got some little tidbits for you here. Muhammad Hassan retired.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Muhammad. AJ Styles headlined 3 different shows in September 2005, which I thought was cool.
Okay.
In PWG Battle of Los Angeles, he was defeated in the main event by Chris Bosch. At TNA Unbreakable, he defeated Christopher Daniels and Samoa Joe in a triple threat
those
match.
matches were class between those three. Yeah.
And I want to say it was for the what was the name of the
X Division title.
X Division, yeah. And in Ring of Honor, Glory by Honor 4, he defeated Jimmy Rave in a finishers match. Those are good finishers matches.
Do you think you have to win using your finisher? Or
Sounds like
you're
something
not
for a
allowed
computer
to
game.
use your finisher?
Oh, could be that.
Yeah.
That'd be a non-fin. Anyway, Jimmy Rave. Do you know who that is?
I've heard the name. I couldn't tell you who it is.
Same. Chris Bosch. I thought he played for the Miami Heat. But never mind. So there you go. Impressive from AJ.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's get down to the nitty gritty. UK number one song, 18th of September 2005.
Okay, is it Fix You by Coldplay?
No, I've not mentioned it to date.
Ah, damn it.
I'll give you some hints. He was as a solo artist, and he was in a boy band. Not necessarily a British boy band, but close to Britain boy band, not US or anything like that.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, the country that's
Irish?
from...
Right. Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Hmm.
Right, so I guess he could have been in Boyzone, or he could have been in Westlife. Right. What was the from? Ronan Keating.
No,
Ah,
but you're in the right band.
what were the other ones called?
This guy has got the same last name as someone that scored from 35 yards out against France for Scotland.
Brian McFadden.
Nailed it.
He had a solo song, did he?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good for
Apparently
him.
so. I had to listen to it. Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
Real to Me by Brian McFadden.
Real to Me. Okay. Fair enough.
US number one song. I'll give you a mega hint. It's not Real to Me by Brian McFadden.
Oh god damn it! It's not going to be Fix You by Coldplay because they don't give a fuck about Coldplay. Might need a little bit of help again.
Okay, this guy is a solo artist on his own. Rather controversial figure these days.
Kanye West.
Yes.
Oh yes. Okay. Oh, so this would be okay. Now, did he have a bit of voice work in the song being done by an actor?
Yes.
Is it Gold Digger?
Yes.
Yes.
Well played.
Yes.
I'm sure I mentioned Late Registration having been released maybe the last one. So well played.
It's a really good album actually.
Mm-hmm.
He had a couple of good albums.
He did. He had a good run for a while.
Yeah. It got away from him.
It did. UK number one film, September 2005. Oh, don't know how to help you with this one. I would say it was probably a predominantly female cast, and
How? How early can I tap out? I can see the look on your face as you're trying to give me hints and you're struggling.
The main actress is English, and she's in Pirates of the Caribbean and the Jacket.
Oh, Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley. It's an old book. Jane Eyre? Is it? Is it written by Jane Eyre? I'm not sure.
Is it Jane Austen?
Jane is what the name of the film?
No, is the writer.
Called Jane Austen.
Oh.
No, it's. I don't know if it's Jane Austen.
Right. I can't think. I think I can picture the exact type of film you're talking about.
It is Jane Austen.
It'd just be like, I don't know, a woman standing in a field while, you know.
Yeah, that's the cover of the DVD cover, the poster.
Damn it.
I think they made a film called This and Zombies not that long ago.
Everything I feel like I see in the listings that is and zombies is like werewolves and zombies. Just don't think that would be Jane,
zombies and stuff like that.
Strippers versus zombies. I just don't think that Jane Austen would have written any of that. I'm struggling.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna not kick myself, but it's definitely I'm in the right area. I'm just not gonna get it.
Okay, it's Pride and Prejudice.
Okay.
Similarly, I think you might. Yeah, well, you never know, but I think you might struggle with American number one film in America as well. I could give you the stars.
Right, okay, go for it.
See if you can get it from there. Reese Witherspoon and Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, come on. They were in a film together. I'm never going to have heard of this film.
I've never seen it, so I can't comment on it. It was only at number one for the week. I guess there wasn't much else to it, although, you know, people should go to see The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Yeah, surely that was still out, you know. I don't think I'm going to get this.
Okay, well, I'll just tell you.
Yeah.
Just Like Heaven.
Just Like Heaven. Okay, I'm not.
Heaven.
Yeah, I'm not aware of it.
It's like watching John Cena in the ring.
Oh.
Just Like Heaven.
We are going to have seen some of these shows pretty differently.
There we go. So,
okay.
Your next task was to cast the card of Unforgiven 2005 using the cast of Scrubs.
This was a little bit hit and miss from me. I suggest that I should only suggest things when I've got, you know, names in the frame. I should be thinking about it all in the build-up, and then some of this I found fairly straightforward. Some of it was a bit of a struggle, but so I don't have everyone.
No, near to. I have to say I was a huge Scrubs fan as a younger lad, and I thought I would enjoy this, but I really struggled with it. I don't have many people.
Okay. Do you have anyone for the Ric Flair Carlito?
I have Ric Flair, yes.
Okay. Who have you got?
I've got the Todd could play Ric Flair. He was a very horny
so
man.
Much better.
And Ric Flair is extremely horny throughout this pay-per-view. Who have you got?
Yeah, I went Bob Kelso. A bit unhinged, living in his own little world of manipulation and power games.
Beautiful. That works. And did you have a Carlito?
I came up with a Carlito, which was Ronald, Snoop Dogg intern.
Yes, amazing.
Just cool as a cucumber, nothing phasing him.
Oh, I like it. Have you got the whole? Please tell me you got the whole card, because that's inspired.
So I start struggling. See, is it the women's tag match that's next?
I think so. Yep.
Because I've got an Ashley Massaro.
Oh dear.
Where I've gone for Danny Sullivan, Tara Reid, JD's occasional girlfriend, just not very good or interesting.
Oofed. Wow.
Yeah.
For that one, we should have done all of JD's exes.
And then,
I was trying to shoehorn Mandy Moore in here somewhere. Go on.
Oh, I forgot about Mandy.
That's so
How
funny.
did I do that? Trish Stratus. I went for Dr. Elliot Reed. Sarah Chalk, the female star, generally fine but a bit annoying at times.
That's fair.
I couldn't get a Tori Wilson, a Victoria, or a Candice Michelle. Nothing was springing to mind.
Okay, so the next match was a Big Show versus Snitsky. Do you have either? I've got a Snitsky, but no Show.
I've got both.
Okay, who you got
I don't
for
know
Show?
why. Yeah. Okay, for Show, I went with Ted. Physically, I see what you're thinking. Physically, what's going on here? But I keep thinking of, every time he does something wrong, he gets a punishment. He's getting, turned heel to face all the time. So the most put upon person on the show.
Good.
I went for Ted as Big Show.
That's good. Okay, for Snitsky?
Right. I only put this name because of one thing that sprang in my mind. If you're going to tell me I've got this wrong, I'll be really upset. But do you remember Hooch?
Yes. Hooch is crazy.
Hooch went even crazier and took a bunch of interns hostage or something like that.
Yeah,
so
did, yeah.
that was why
Hooch.
I went with Hooch for Snitsky.
That was the punchline. Hooch is crazy.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that. For Snitsky, I've got the janitor. I essentially think they might be the same person. They're both very odd and seem to live in their own little worlds.
Okay, that makes sense.
Shelton versus Kerwin White. Do you have anyone for either of those?
I came up with that. I wasn't particularly happy with either, but there's hopefully a little bit of logic. Right. For Shelton, I went Doug. So much potential, but it goes to waste. He ends up sticking around long term though and working in the morgue.
Nice. Poor Doug.
Yeah,
that's a good
poor
one.
Doug.
And for Kerwin White.
Now, I was really trying to think of a good one, and I came up with something, but yeah. So there's a character that Matthew Perry plays, and he refuses to give his dad a kidney. And I've just gone with talk about turning your back on your family and your legacy.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Well played. You're good at this game. Okay, Matt Hardy, Edge, Lita.
Right. I've got all three.
Okay.
I think so. There's some logic between my Matt and my Edge, and then not so much with Lita. But anyway, I've gone for JD John Norian for Matt Hardy, the main protagonist, the good guy in the story. I've landed on him.
Okay. Well, you do all yours, and then you do yours together because mine's go together.
That drove me towards going for the janitor for Edge, who basically just exists to make JD's life a misery. Lita, I've gone for Jordan, who was Dr. Cox's ex-wife, then got back together, I think. Yep. And she's just nuts, manipulative, crazy, doing whatever she needs to do to get what she wants.
Fair enough. She was a strong character in the show. I like it.
Yep.
For Matt Hardy, I've went with Ted, feckless bastard who is bullied incessantly. And then for Edge, I've went for Bob Kelso because it was Bob Kelso that forever did the bullying of Ted.
I get it. I see it. Yep.
Okay. I've not got Lita. Do you have Cade and Murdoch?
I don't have anything for that tag match.
Okay, me neither. Michaels and the Masterpiece.
Right, I struggled with Chris Masters because I ended up looking at these two and being tempted to go for the same guy for both, but I had to go for one. So I've gone for Michaels as being Dr. Turk. Really comes across as really cool, but clearly plagued by self-doubt.
Wow.
Yeah. And I couldn't come up with a Masters. I just couldn't. I was trying to think. My mind went to all of like the boyfriends that would turn up for Elliot, and I just couldn't think of the right one to use. So yeah, I've only got a Michaels there.
Okay, nice. I liked your Michaels. I have got Chris Masters to be played by Elliot Reed, young cocky app star who needs taught a lesson or two by the more experienced nurse. Shawn Michaels, played by Carla, veteran of the business, who can still show these young upstarts a thing or two.
Nice.
And that takes us to our main event, Kurt Angle and John Cena.
Yep. I've got both.
Okay, who you got?
Right. Kurt Angle, Dr. Cox, and John C. McGinley. Very serious, quite sarcastic, can be funny. Do not doubt his ability to do his job. He is the best. Yeah, he's just the man.
Amazing.
John Cena. I've gone for Todd.
That works.
Just a long, annoying joke.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Like that. For Angle, I've also went Dr. Cox, simply for the intensity, but for all the reasons you listed as well. For John Cena, I've went with JD, John Dorian, a goofy white guy who often likes to pretend that he's black.
Yeah. Yeah, when I think back to some of the interaction he had with Turk, yeah, that definitely works.
Well played. That was good. I wish I had the chance to watch more Scrubs between the last two, but unfortunately.
Yeah. I didn't actually watch any. I just sat trying to think. Oh yeah, remember? I kept thinking. Remember, Colin Farrell had that cameo, and I was like, who was he? Who could I make that? And I couldn't come up with anyone that fit.
I was trying to fit Michael J. Fox's because he was quite a good character.
Yeah, I was tempted by him for one of them. It might have been Michael's. And then I was also trying to think of the guy that came in as JD's brother for a bit, just a few times, appeared and disappeared, but nothing quite fit.
Nice. Okay. For next pay-per-view, which will be 2006's New Year's Revolution, I would like us to use the cast of Lost.
Oh.
Previously on Lost.
Wow.
There's a wee blast from the past.
Yeah.
Yep. For that?
Yeah, I will need to try and remember who was who, but yeah, it was a show I stuck with right till the end.
We could. John Locke could easily be Kurt Angle. Not alone,
yeah.
Not for the bald head alone, but
yeah.
For sticking to his principles.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can do that next time.
Okay.
Let's get into this pay-per-view, will we? Let's go to
it.
Oklahoma City, where apparently they had half the building filled and never returned. Surprised JR wasn't making more a big deal of being in Oklahoma.
Yeah, that is strange. I think when I heard the intro and that we were in Oklahoma, I just assumed he was going to get something done to him, like because that's like Vince's way.
Well, I mean, it comes not long after this pay-per-view. He does get fired not that long after this pay-per-view.
Okay.
Anyway, let's get into it. Our opening video package continues this really tedious John Cena and Eric Bischoff rivalry that we talked about last time that we don't really like, and is just very manufactured and just a bit rubbish.
Yeah.
In the sort of build-up video package, I thought it was quite weird that there was no sort of mention or any sort of footage or anything of their very first encounter on SmackDown with the whole ruthless aggression thing. I thought that was weird that they never harked back to that.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe they wanted the audience to forget that ever happened. Maybe.
Remember this really cool rapping guy? He used to be just a guy that had spiky hair and wrestled in his pants. So it takes us to our first match for the Intercontinental Championship. Forever seems to be opening up pay-per-views around about this time. The IC title.
It does seem to be a theme. Yeah.
We have got the champion Carlito defending against the dirtiest player in the game, Ric Flair. And before we get into the action, I was just questioning this line from the King as Ric Flair was coming out. We all know Ric Flair still has it, but tonight Carlito has to prove that to himself.
That doesn't make much sense.
That's baffling. That's like a riddle within a riddle. I also thought it was interesting that Ric Flair actually feuded with Carlito's dad, Carlos Colon, around about 1982-83.
Okay, yeah.
Which is just crazy.
They were making quite a big deal of the fact. I felt like it it kind of told me the ending before, but they were making quite a big deal of the fact Flair hadn't won the Intercontinental belt, and obviously it's prestigious background and all that. I don't think I'd ever thought about it, like, because when he had his run at first, he was in the main title picture, but he obviously came in and was never at Intercontinental level in that run, so it does make sense.
It does. I suppose it kind of made me think, like, well, why would he have in that sort of picture? Anyway, how did you enjoy this match as an opener?
I thought it was fine. Like I quite they were trying to play up the angle that Carlito had disrespected Ric Flair, he'd spat in his face with the apple and all that kind of thing, and they were talking quite a lot about how he doesn't respect Flair's legacy. There's a lot of classic Flair stuff with the chopping and the wooing and all that, and they don't hide the fact. I think it's the first. I know he's always been referred to as the dirtiest player in the game, but they proper ram that down your throat through this match that he will cut every corner to try and win and all that. They've got. Do you know what I started getting really annoyed by, and I started thinking immediately, is this going to be all the way through the show? His coach is just tearing into JR straight away, and he's like, I think he's mocking the Sooners and all that, and I'm just like, come on.
It's so annoying. I think I've got my notes later on. JR just starts shouting over the top of him.
Yeah.
Like he goes from like no selling it to being like just clearly
early on
red ass JR or something like that. He used to call him on his podcast.
I've got to assume Vince is in coach's ear the whole time, being like, "Do you know what the Sooners' winning record is, pal? Take the piss, really lay into him." All that kind of thing. Because there's no way coach wants to be, I don't know, doing this, surely.
It's so annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, a Flair match is a Flair match. And it's all, like you say, chopping and wooing. But I quite liked, because the chops were... I quite like that the chops aren't just in the corner. Like he'll put somebody off the rope and chop them, and that's the move.
Yeah,
it doesn't need to do very much, but for it not to be effective, Carlito ends up getting around that by ramming his shoulder into the ring pole, which I quite liked. I genuinely quite enjoyed this match. I thought it was fun that Flair went up the top rope and executed a move off the top rope, and like everybody's in on the joke. And
that was good. Yeah, I enjoyed that because you're just not expecting it to land. You're just waiting for it. Weirdly, I don't think I would have ever expected this, but I do think I enjoyed this more than the Carlito Shelton Benjamin match, which is weird to think of that.
Yeah, I feel the exact same. It was funny that he went up on the ropes, like I said, he connects, the crowd are giving him an almost standing ovation, and the commentary team making a big thing out again. He then goes back up on the top rope. It's like, it worked one time, let's do it again, and Carlito drop kicks him at the air. That was all good. That was good fun. The finish was relatively quite fun as well. Carlito goes to grab his apple, and he's going to spit in his face. I think Flair chops him, does he?
Yep.
When he's got the apple in his mouth, and he's like, "Oh, I'm choking." He gets the figure four on.
I quite like that.
And Carlito taps out. I did not expect Flair to win. So that was quite fun that they did it that way. You were saying, obviously, they maybe telegraphed it a little bit.
Yeah, I think if I'd just seen it written as a match between the two, I would have thought, Carlito will retain. But from the build-up, I started feeling like, they're going to put that on Flair, because just felt like they were making a big deal out of it. But yeah, I like the fact that it's one of these finishes that I think it's a bit silly. It's not over the top silly, but it's a bit silly.
Like
and
good wrestling comedy.
It worked in an environment like this where, like you mentioned before, a Ric Flair match is what a Ric Flair match is. It's a few spots and a lot of samey things on the go when you watch his matches. So I thought that added something quite funny, quite interesting just at the end.
And so Flair's in this weird position where he's getting cheered, and sort of last time well, when was it? Triple H and Batista went at Vengeance.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
possibly 2 or 3 months ago now.
Hmm.
He's for all intents and purposes a heel, but he's being cheered. He
Yeah.
grabs the mic and puts the belt over, which I assume he was told to do.
Yeah, I got the fear that came over me when he had the mic. I was like, oh no, what is this
He's going
going
to
to
start
be?
crying.
Yeah, but some of that came later. Some of the
Mm. The weird thing was that he said he wishes his best friend Triple H had been here, and the crowd turn on him and start booing him.
yeah.
So to get to curry favour, he goes out and starts picking random women out the crowd. This felt incredibly awkward to me until I read that one of them was his wife,
Okay.
which and some that it's his wife and some of her friends, which feels
Okay. A little less.
massively better
Yeah.
knowing that.
Okay.
Because I was just like, oh my god! Well, obviously this plays on throughout the whole pay-per-view, but there's a time where he's like smoochy kissing,
Yeah.
and it was just horrible.
Yeah.
It's like watching your dad kissing somebody or something. The poor woman looks half his age, but I mean half his age. But I mean, if that was his wife, then there you go.
Yeah.
So a bit of fun opener.
Yep.
Better than probably better than what we've been served up for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd agree. Yeah. Yeah.
Then we go backstage, and Edge and Lita are still at this sort of hyena behaviour where they're just sort of like evil Disney villain cackling and kissing each other all over the place. And like it's like they just sit about laughing about how they cheated on Matt Hardy. Got one over on him.
Like there's a point in this segment where Lita talks about the fact that when they were on the road and Matt was out injured, he would phone her and she would speak to him, and then he would phone his best friend, Edge, and he was like in the same bed or something like that. You know, that's what's being talked about. And I was like, do you know what? We get it. You know, they're really trying to, go ultra heel, I think, with this situation. But
it's a bit much when you know that some of it is real.
Yeah.
So there we go. Our next match is a women's tag team match. Tori Wilson and Victoria, accompanied by Candice Michelle, who apparently, as I informed you earlier today, their faction was called Vince's Devils.
I don't ever remember that being
formerly the Pink Ladies, but then they became Vince's Devils, apparently. And they're taking on Trish Stratus and Ashley Massaro. I think they're maybe just called Ashley. And it's just like, what has Trish done to deserve having to continually work with these young women that appear to have been wound up like a jack-in-the-box and just chucked out in front of the crowd?
Yeah. They went for quite a provocative presentation between Tori and Candice, I noticed. And I don't... We've seen some pretty bad workers in the ring. I don't know what sort of mood I'm in when I'm writing this, but what I've written basically indicates that Ashley is the worst performer in a wrestling ring of all time.
Yeah, I'd love to know if she's had any matches. She probably has, but how many matches could she possibly have had? I guess she had Diva Search contestant or something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
My oh my. There's a point in well, let's talk about the good things, because Trish and Victoria genuinely together match up pretty well and have a good wrestling match.
Yep.
And if it had been a singles match, I think that it would have been as good as any. That's maybe a bit much, but a good match. I think.
Yeah.
Could be had between them. I don't know what the story was with putting in Tori Wilson. She's no wrestler anyway.
No.
At one point, Tori tries to throw Ashley out the ring and damn near breaks her neck.
Yeah, that was rough.
It's horrendous, really bad. She practically landed on her head.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's, like I said to you earlier, Ashley looking greener than the Grinch.
Yep.
In there. Trish gets a hot tag, goes off. I think she finishes it with a chick kick.
Yep, that's right.
And gets the win. But yeah, if this was an opportunity to showcase Ashley or Tori, then mission failed. It's
Yeah,
weird.
I never viewed. I don't know how often they did it. I never viewed Tori Wilson as a wrestler. You know, she was kind of bracketed with Stacy Keibler.
Exactly what I was going to say. Aye, that's what I thought. Remember when Vince was like had her pinned up against a wall in the shower, kissing her and all that. Ugh.
It's so much worse when you kind of know that that kind of thing was probably going on.
Oh God, horrible.
Yeah.
Billy Kidman should have stuck around.
Hmm.
So here we go. We're backstage. Ric Flair is getting these 4 women into his limo, and as he gets the 4 of them in, and then he shuts the door, and he's got a bottle of champagne in his hand, right, and then he's got these bottle of pills, and I was like, oh no, he's like going to pour that in the drink, like this is going to be like a, oh, isn't this hilarious? He's drugging them type thing, but no, it's supposed to represent him taking Viagra. He takes a big old swig of the blue chew.
That could have gone very Bill Cosby, but yeah.
I genuinely thought that's what it was going with. I take it that never crossed your mind, no?
No, it didn't. I think I'd maybe remembered it. Like,
Right.
oh yeah, the joke was, yeah, he's got to take a bunch of Viagra and then he's ready. Yeah.
I normally hate stuff like this. I think this is genuine. That is quite funny.
I think I found that fine. I think I felt they maybe overdid it, like, because I don't know how I maybe got 2 more visits to the limo.
Let's go back to the ring for a really, really classic wrestling match between the Big Show and my name used to be Gene Snitsky. Big Show's coming out here smiling, and he gets a gigantor pop for the crowd.
He looks so happy.
It's kind of like 80s wrestling a little bit. He's like smiling at the crowd, and it's like this happy giant that the kids all love. It's odd.
Yeah, it stood out. It was, you know, the joke is he's had more turns than, you know, insert joke, whatever it may be. But yeah, he's obviously babyface here, and it's like he's just embracing it. It's like, I'm just going to walk out, big smile on my face, loving life.
It's quite funny. Like I say, a crowd popped big still for him. Snitsky, what was his? Have you ever seen the thing where he punts the baby into the crowd?
I don't think so.
Snitsky. I think this is where the "it wasn't my fault" thing comes from. But it's when Lita is supposed to be pregnant. This is what makes it funny that like Edge and Lita are friendly with Snitsky, because when Lita was supposed to be pregnant with Kane's baby, he came out with like a fake baby thing, and he's like mocking her for being pregnant, and then he punts it into the crowd, like proper punts it way up in the air.
Oh wow!
Anyway, like he's an impressive looking guy, and he's all right in the ring.
Yeah, he's huge. He looks like if you put him in with somebody skilled, I think he could have a good match. Yeah,
it's crazy how these people just end up with these total guff gimmicks, and then they're just made a bit of a joke.
I wonder if he's one that lost a bit of body mass when the fairly soon to come, I think, steroid leak thing came out.
Maybe
that's going to derail a couple of careers.
Indeed, the masturbate.
Yeah.
What's his name? Snitsky I saw was in like a GCW Battle Royal or something just a few weeks ago.
So he's still going?
Still going strong.
Okay.
And he's not bad in the ring here. I mean, I'm saying he's not bad in the ring, but it's because he does a side suplex on the Big Show.
He does, yeah.
But it's quite he proper folds him up, like. I quite liked it.
Yeah, impressive.
Perfect for that.
They let him have. I was thinking when it first started, is this almost going to be like a squash? It kind of felt like it, but he got quite a bit of offense in the end.
He did. He hits him with a big boot that Big Show sells like a tree being felled in the forest sort of thing.
Yeah.
Big Show eventually makes a comeback. He does a nip up using the
rope. Yeah.
Using the rope, and hits the choke slam and gets the 1, 2, 3. And then in classic babyface fashion, he goes and gets the ring bell and rattles Snitsky about the head with it.
Maybe he was all set for another turn.
It's because Snitsky did it to Matt Hardy, unlike the Raw before
Okay.
the pay-per-view. And he's,
Sure,
you know
sure,
how
Matt.
Big Show and Matt Hardy are big mates.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so racing through this, Shelton Benjamin versus the former Chavo
Yeah.
Guerrero Jr.
You missed a trip back to the limo.
Oh, did I? I
Yeah.
apologize. Apologies.
Smoke
Is this
coming.
the steam?
Smoke coming from it. Yeah. And then, did they really randomly do a wee bit of build for Michaels and Masters there as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
And JR's very enthusiastic about it, and then it's like,
yeah, he really is. I don't know why. Yeah.
And you assume that you're getting that next, and I thought, oh, that's good. So we're doing that now, and then we'll get Edge Hardy as the co-main, like how we spoke about with SummerSlam.
Yeah.
But nah,
nah.
We just cut to Kerwin White coming out.
I think you could maybe tell in the last time we did this when you were running through the card, I had no memory of this Kerwin White situation until I saw him come out, and I was like,
okay.
Oh yeah, now I remember.
Do you remember what his catchphrase was?
No.
If it ain't white, it ain't right. Chavo says this was based on people that he knew, like Mexican people that would sort of throw away their heritage and want to try and fit in with certain types of people, which is amazing to think that this was, if not his idea, then he at least, sounded like he was supportive of it and doing. But it sounds like it was his idea, which is just crazy. Because the thing is, if this was Shelton Benjamin versus Chavo Guerrero Jr., I'd probably quite enjoyed the match because it's pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, that's always there, isn't it? The Kerwin White thing, and you've got. I think Coach is massively backing him and what he's done in his decision.
Yep.
Whereas JR, obviously, your old school guy, and it's a legendary family. He's having none of it. He's disgusted.
It's so funny. Like, I've got here in my notes, JR is just completely no selling this gimmick and just calling him Chavo.
Yeah.
This is where some of the Coach and JR stuff starts to become a little annoying. Kerwin gets a lot of offense in. I've got now JR is now 100% no selling the Coach, completely ignoring him.
I was loving the expression on Kerwin White's face after he executed some of his moves. It was really good. He looked so smug and so pleased with himself. Like, there's a point when he does a head scissors and he just looks delighted with himself.
That's funny. I genuinely, I remember thinking, like, this isn't actually an all right match. Chavo does a great DDT from, like a DDT from the second rope. What do you call it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Tornado DDT.
Yeah.
And also, like you were saying there with the headset, like, he does some great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He tries to heal his way to victory using his golf club.
Yeah.
And Shelton manages to counter it and hits him with T-bone suplex and gets the win.
Yeah, decent match.
Not bad. Let's see, I bet Meltzer gave it 5 stars. Let's see. 8 minutes, no rating. Unbelievable. Kenny Omega had been at ringside, would have been looking at a 7-star classic. Okay. Backstage, Todd Grisham, Matt Hardy.
I felt like Todd Grisham was laying in pretty hard and rough here on Matt.
What was he saying to him?
It's basically just underlining the fact that, his woman's left him for his pal and all that. He's just really ramming it back in his face. It's like, go easy on the guy. He's having a rough time.
So Hardy and Edge, before this pay-per-view, have a really good street fight on Raw.
Okay.
That ends up with both of them going off the stage and both of them ending up in hospital. And I think Grisham refers to that, but like, I think the whole thing is that Edge has to get taken away in an ambulance, and maybe Hardy comes back and he's still doing the whole Matt Hardy won't die sort of thing, and he's definitely still on his Edge must die catchphrase. Here, I'm sure he mentions it again before this match. What do you I feel like I can't remember if we spoke about this last time. It must be about the biggest opportunity he's had to get over as a singles
For
competitor.
Edge.
For
Sorry,
Matt
Matt.
Hardy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It would be. Yeah.
And he's, like you see him doing the broken gimmick and all the other sort of odd stuff
Hmm.
that he's done. It seems like as he's gotten older in his career, he seems to be in a lot more comfortable talking.
Hmm.
It doesn't seem like he's got it here. It's like he's
Yeah,
come too early or something.
like so even when they were the Hardy Boys, when I think of the promos, I think they like quite often had a manager and stuff like that. Sunday speaking, I remember Michael Hayes at the start,
Yeah,
and then
Terry they had.
Terry. Yeah, so they had a mouthpiece at times, and then I think when you got to that awesome era where you had like the three teams and the series of matches they went through with the Edge and Christian and the Dudleys, I don't think you needed to talk an awful lot, or I don't think they did anyway,
Nah, Edge and
because the
Christian did a
matches
lot of
were.
it.
Yeah, they did, and the Dudleys kind of had their trademark stuff that they would do in promos and stuff. So yeah, I don't think they needed to be saying an awful lot, but I think you're right in that he's not quite. And I wondered if it was partly subject matter. Is this too real to be
Hmm.
comfortable to just go out and speak? Maybe it's easier to do that when it's something totally fictitious on the go. But yeah, he's not here. He's not a good promo. And not, this is going to sound harsh. As a singles, I quite liked what was the old thing, Matt Hardy
Version one
version
with
one. I quite liked that. That
Shamrock.
that gave him something. He was interesting then, but
Uh-huh.
here, I don't know. He's just a guy.
Aye. It's funny. It's like the fans were desperate to get behind him when
Hmm.
it felt like there'd been an injustice. Everybody knew he'd been
Yeah.
cheated on by his girlfriend with somebody else, and then he got fired.
Hmm.
And it doesn't feel like they've properly capitalised on that, or he's been unable
Yeah.
to capitalise on that. I
Yeah.
always just go back to that. Hope you die in a car crash. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's funny because we love like a film where, main character is a look at John Wick. Like the dog
Hmm.
dies and you're desperate to see him go
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
a rampage and get his vengeance. But here it just,
Yeah.
maybe it's because we're all in on Edge, but I don't know. It certainly feels like WWE are all in on Edge and not
Oh
so much
yeah.
on Matt Hardy.
Definitely. Yeah.
So we had the street fight, and Bischoff was basically like, you guys can't, if you can't behave yourself out with the confines of the ring, inside the ring, I'll put you in a steel cage. So that's why they're in a steel cage here, which kind of makes sense. And Lita's been getting involved and stuff like that as well, so it makes
Hmm.
sense to stick them in a cage, which is refreshing for
Hmm.
WWE to use a gimmick match in a
Yeah. Logical
first.
way rather than just doing it because it's next or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. What do you think of their cage match compared? Certainly, if you think about with SummerSlam, you didn't love their SummerSlam match, did
I
you?
didn't really. I quite enjoyed this. The in ring stuff. I didn't think it was up there with the best cage matches I've seen, but I thought it was pretty good. Thought there was a lot in terms of playing the cage as a weapon, which
Mm-hmm.
I think always makes sense, and it not always working out as you would intend. Trying to throw each other into certain things and it not quite working. Thought there were some like I like some really basic stuff, like not not overly thoughtful. Like there's a point where Edge has Matt in a headlock, and he just like gouges his eyes and stuff like that. Just your sort of basic heel moves, and I enjoy stuff like that. Um, who there's quite who bleeds? Does somebody bleed?
I think yes, Edge bleeds a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
I think he ends up getting twist of fate on the briefcase or something like that. Lita ends up throwing the
yeah.
briefcase in, doesn't she?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. They were playing on the Lita thing on the outside quite a bit, which I think you have to. I don't think there's any way away from that. What you're going to do, just not do anything, or Um, yeah, I enjoyed it enough. I didn't think it was a classic, when I think of some of the ones we've watched over time.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was a decent match. I enjoyed it more than the previous one, and I'm going to sound really simple here. I feel like giving Matt a win is kind of important. Like, he's been wronged, and then he's just had his ass absolutely kicked. And yeah, if they had the street fight that was quite even, then yeah, that's good. But last pay-per-view we saw, he just got destroyed, and like the match had to be stopped. Instead, it had to be building to something. I felt like he got a moment here.
Yeah, I agree. I like the match. I think it felt like two people that really hated each other were fighting. Do you remember when we watched SummerSlam '94 and it was Owen v Brett in the cage, and a lot of it sounds sort of boring, but a lot of it was about escaping the cage as opposed to a wrestling match. Whereas this again wasn't really a wrestling match; it was two people just beating hell at each other.
They were good, but I thought that it was interesting the way they played it, as it never seemed like Matt was trying to escape. Edge, I think, was trying to escape on a few occasions, but Matt, he had that moment, which I think they've done with the Hardys before as well, where he's on the top and he can climb down, but instead of that, he makes the move on Edge into the ring.
That brings me to a point I wanted to say to you. When did Jeff and Matt break up and have their match? You and I have watched it.
We have.
It must have been before this, right?
Yeah, it would have been before this. Yeah.
Because Jeff's in TNA at this point. So what a gigantic hypocrite Matt Hardy turns out to be, because that is the exact reason why he got annoyed with Jeff and they ended up fighting, because he died off the top of the cage. Imagine hitting a leg drop for the top of the cage. What does that do to your spine?
Yeah, that cannot be good for you. It looked pretty cool, but yeah, it can't be good for you.
If you've ever seen Matt Hardy recently trying to walk when he's walking down the ring in AEW, then it tells its own story.
I was wondering as well, like, you're running through this match beforehand and you're Edge, and you're like, Matt's like, yeah, so I'll come off the top, right? I'm gonna drop a leg, just across sort of the high point of your chest. It's fine, this is all good. If you're Edge, you're like, all good, buddy. Let's remember the good times.
Yeah, Amy, I'll then give you a twist of fate in the middle of the ring, and she's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like
the fans like that, though. The fans like seeing Lita getting hit with the twist of fate.
Yeah, I never like. It's one of those things that, generally speaking, I think you can look back on some of the male on female offense in wrestling and be a bit like, but yeah, in the moment, I think it would have been like a massive anticlimax for the crowd if he hadn't done something.
Are you endorsing his actions, Adam? Just to be clear.
Of course not.
No, you're not. Okay. I think it's right that Hardy gets a win. I think it's possibly back to front, particularly about where we know Edge is going. But
yeah,
it's also like its own isolated little story. So fair enough.
JR was laying into Lita.
Yes. What's it? It's not. He does call her Jezebel, but he calls her something worse as well. I can't remember.
Yeah, he did. I've not got it written down. It's like, oh, JR's really going for it. Wonder if she caused it. I wonder if this whole thing, if JR was head of talent relations when this all went down, if this has caused him a shed load of work. Yeah.
Class. And fair play to all three of them to have been able to do that.
Yeah,
from what I've read, Hardy and Edge seem to patch things back up and be friendly again.
Okay.
But yeah, that must have been difficult
to show. I think the professionalism to just go in, get the job done, look after each other, that kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I thought it was a fun match. I think it got 4.25 stars.
Is this the end of their? Right.
I'll go on to what happens post.
That's fine.
Come the end of the pay per view, because Edge doesn't actually wrestle again on pay per view till January. There's some stuff I've got to update you on.
That's fine.
So there's a bit more, but Hardy gets traded to SmackDown after this.
Okay.
Oh God, some silliness backstage. Not good silliness, not Ric Flair taking Viagra silliness. We've got Cena with his goofy, serious face getting his ankle taped up in the back, and Bischoff's in his face ranting and raving. And Cena takes some of the sticky tape and tapes it over Bischoff's mouth, and he gives some proper comic book.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's awful, eh?
Yeah.
And then we cut to Edge, bloodied up, crawling out the arena, which is quite good.
Yeah, he was selling all of that. Yeah,
A lot of blood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, next up we've got the Tag Team Championships on the line. Hurricane and Rosie defending their titles against Trevor Murdoch and Lance Cade, who I believe you said, ooh, I was a fan of them.
Yeah, I liked them. And I was one of them. I went at the start of the match. I was like, no, I've said on the podcast that I liked them, and what if they're just absolutely awful? But I came out of it still liking them.
They were good. Lance Cade was giving me sort of beefed up Matthew McConaughey, kind of.
Yeah.
He kind of spoke like him as well.
Yeah.
Trevor Murdoch almost could have been like a long lost Dudley brother, I thought.
Yeah, they're quite a good, like, they worked as a combination, but not like as two parts of the same thing. They're like, Lance Cade was quite well spoken and confident and arrogant, whereas Murdoch just looked like your classic brawler from like a trailer park or something like that, and it worked as a combination.
Yeah, Trevor Murdoch's still wrestling. From what I remember, look, he's a two-time NWA champion, so he's still been going strong.
Lance Cade died pretty young, very young.
Yeah, 2006 was it?
Yeah, just like 2010, but he was only 29.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shame. I liked this match. I'm a little bit apprehensive to say because it's Rosie and the Hurricane, but I genuinely quite enjoyed it. I don't remember watching. I just expected for the bad guys to isolate a Hurricane and Rosie get the hot tag and start smashing, but that is not what happened, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I thought this was good. I thought they meshed together quite well as opposing teams because Hurricane and Rosie, it's a silly gimmick, and it's opposing something that's not that much of a gimmick. But in terms of in-ring chemistry, I thought it worked pretty well between all of them. I thought this was a good match.
Yeah, I was getting a little bit frustrated because I was thinking, take those daft suits off of Helms and Rosie and
just let them be.
A good match, because I think we spoke about this before. Helms is good in the ring. And Rosie's, we both like Rosie as well.
Yeah, unbelievable Rosie. Yeah, and I thought, like, without the gimmick, they're actually a really good combination. You know, they do some combined moves and all that. You've got the high flyer, the agility, but then you've got Rosie, who's a wrecking ball, and the size he is, how agile he was as well.
I think it's Murdoch ends up, for some reason, Hurricane does this. Oh, I tell you what it was. Murdoch randomly starts hitting on Lillian Garcia for whatever reason, and Hurricane, being the superhero that he is, comes over to defend her, and for some reason Hurricane sort of tries to dive. Does he dive through the turn, like the bottom?
Yeah, he goes to
get to him.
I've seen somebody else do that move a few times, diving through the gap.
Sami Zayn does that as well.
Yeah, Sami Zayn, that's who I'm thinking of. And that's what Hurricane was going for. I think.
And Murdoch grabs him and brutally DDTs him with his legs on the apron, his head to the floor.
Yeah.
And they did well here because I genuinely wasn't sure if it was legit or part of the thing.
Yeah.
So it worked, and it left Rosie on his own. Hurricane eventually ends up getting carried to the back, and I think he sees on the big screen that Rosie's trying valiantly to fight against both guys on his own. But does Hurricane end?
He comes
He
back
ends up
and
struggling
then
back,
he
doesn't he?
gets in the ring, and that's where it's like a big clothesline and like taking out the knee from below or
Yeah,
the
like
legs
the
from
cut
below.
him in half sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Uh,
seen a few teams do that.
Yeah.
But they get the belts, and it's an odd one because we've never really seen these two before, and here they are, new tag champions.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what happened with Hurricane and Rosale. We'd
Yeah,
seen them
that's right.
before, but they were a new
Yeah.
team for us in that tag team turmoil match. But there you go, new tag team champions, Murdoch and Cade.
Yeah.
Next, we have Maria Kanellis backstage with Chris Masters, and she's playing this sort of comedic bimbo type role, and she asks him, "Why do they call you the masturbate?" That's good. That's fun.
Yep.
Masters, unbelievable. Can you believe he's only 22 here?
Is he really? Yeah. Crazy. The shape the guy's in is absolutely insane. It's ridiculous. He doesn't look like a real human at all.
And the whole thing's been about him getting the master lock on Michaels, and he says he's going to break HBK tonight. I think that was about it.
Yeah.
So here we are. Co-main Chris Masters, the Masterpiece versus the Heartbreak Kid. What did you think?
I felt like it really dragged. Like, I don't know how long it was, but like I kind of
60 minutes.
Okay. I got the story, veteran, younger guy, trying to make a name for himself. Nobody's broken his hold. I got the story. I felt like the story could have been told quite a bit quicker than it was. It dragged on for me quite a bit.
I agree. I don't feel like maybe it's we're obviously not watching every single Raw. We're watching the pay-per-views, and I'm jumping into some Raws. I don't know if you are or not. I don't feel like Masters is built up enough to be facing Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, to get this spot.
Yeah. I feel like we could have done with him wrecking a Shelton Benjamin, or just looking at other people that are on the card, even a Flair.
Yeah, because I think in some of the build they show him and we've seen in previous weeks him bringing people out from the crowd and all that. Obviously plants, but putting his lock on them doesn't mean anything. You're like, okay, whatever. But yeah, there's not been a lot of him putting this on any sort of seasoned pros or anything.
Yeah. So it's the Roman Reigns, the John Cena thing. Drew McIntyre back in the day, they're all in on Masters. He's got like the Randy Orton pyro, with the sort of golden shower. I was going to say that's not what I mean.
Golden shower from Vince.
So, as a cynical wrestling fan, you're just like, all right, okay, so he's.
You can totally see
the anointed one.
Vince would have seen him and been like,
"Yep,
that's the guy. Put the rocket on him. That's the guy."
And I'd said to you, he reminds me of the Warlord a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it's just some of the moves that he does. Obviously, he's got the Master Lock, which is what is that called?
What would you call that? Is it like a full Nelson?
Yeah, it's a full Nelson. That's it. And it feels very old school.
And he's been doing the things you would do. He's attacking the back quite a lot, and and I think it's maybe mentioned on commentary the issues Shawn Michaels had over the years with his back, all that kind of thing. So that's all logical, which is fine. But yeah, I totally get what you mean. As an audience member, you are watching this thinking, why is he against Shawn Michaels here? Yeah.
When we've seen what Michaels has done this year, and why is this guy dominating them?
Yeah.
It's quite frustrating. I did like that he put the Master Lock on even before the match started. Clever.
Yeah.
And he winds up Michaels. I think Michaels tries to use a chair, but Jack don't. It's clearly got the Masterpiece put a fiver in his pocket. He rips it off him. I like that he did a torture rack.
Yep.
didn't see that very often. But yeah, it's all just very predictable. You get the Michaels come back, the nip up, the flying forearms. Yeah, you kind of know which way it's going to go, don't you?
Yeah. I thought I, I didn't hate there was some stuff Michaels was doing. See when he got the master lock on and he's trying to get out of it, and he like ends up getting over the ropes basically.
Climbing out the ring.
Yeah, and I'm kind of thinking, all you had to do was like grab a rope right there, just put your leg on it. That's it. He has to break the hold. So it felt a bit elaborate, but I didn't have a massive issue with it. I didn't hate the match itself, as in what happened in the match and all that. But I usually find when I'm watching something and I keep looking at the time, and I'm like, this match is still going. That's probably not one that I'm enjoying all that
That's
much.
fair. That's fair. Eventually, Michaels is more and more seems to be doing this sort of sweet chin music out of nowhere type thing. Eventually hits the sweet chin music and gets the 1, 2, 3. Obviously, they're trying to make Masters continue to look strong. They've not had Michaels break out of the Master Lock. Master Lock? Aye, Master Lock. So yeah, that remains unbroken.
Yeah, you are left thinking, oh, Michaels was in trouble there. But they always say there's a way of you don't have to give the guy a win to put him over, and I think that's what they were trying to do, trying to build him without giving him a win against somebody like Michaels. But yeah, I think if you build that kind of character just a bit more slow and steady, would have been better.
That could apply to a lot of different people over the years. Is it at this point that Flair finally emerges from the limo? The ladies come out, and he comes out ass first with his underwear around halfway down the crack of his arse for some reason. Comedy. That's Vince comedy, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And he just sort of gives it a whimpering woo and falls to his Flair.
Classic face plant. Yeah.
That's quite good fun.
That one made me laugh. Like, I think because there was like the first one and then there were like two in the middle, it's like you could have removed one of them. Just do your middle one and then the end one. But they've done far worse backstage segments.
Definitely. Okie doke. We get to our main event. I don't have an awful lot of notes for this. If I'd hair, I'd have been pulling it out of this match. John Cena versus Kurt Angle for the WWE Spinner title. We've got Kurt Angle arguably in his prime here. I think we're in full-on wrestling machine gum shield.
Yeah.
Within Kurt Angle, and you've got as green, not as green as Ashley Massaro, but I mean, sometimes he looks at John Cena, who they're building and building and building, and he's just sort of running through people at this point.
Yeah.
Angle's just another one that they're lining up here. What do you think, Cena Angle?
I didn't like it. I could see they were trying to, everything in the build-up, the packages they show you and all that kind of point to the fact that Angle's the favourite, he's challenger, but he's the favourite. And Cena's like an underdog champion. And I think that made sense to play it that way, with everything that Angle's accomplished and all his credentials and all that. But I didn't feel like we've seen. I went into this, I think, thinking, right, Cena's not been very good in the matches that we've watched so far. What kind of a match can Angle get out of him? And I think he was trying. He was doing his best, but I just think, I became, in the end, just a few years ago, quite impressed with Cena. I felt like he came back, he had decent moves, thought his psychology had improved and his willingness to put people over and take bumps and all that. But I just don't like him here. It doesn't work for me. And he's world champion, and that annoys me.
Too.
All that kind of thing.
It sucks. It really sucks, to put it to its most basic way of describing it. The thing that bothered me is just, yes, it was a slightly different finish because we ended up getting a DQ win for Angle, but it's essentially the same seen a match as we've seen since we started this from WrestleMania 21. Cena gets beat up for the whole match and then wins.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I always think about the sort of thing. Do you remember when GSP, Josh St. Pierre, and Dan Hardy had the fight for what was that for? Middleweight?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
The one under, can't remember. And GSP absolutely dominated them the whole match, but just couldn't put him away.
Mm-hmm.
I think he ended up winning on points, and Hardy came out. People were questioning Hardy before the match and saying, like he doesn't deserve to be in this match. And he came out with a lot more respect, and people thinking he did great. And I always think about that. I think it's a really good way to put over somebody that maybe people don't respect as much as they possibly could in wrestling. Mm-hmm. And I think if Cena had came out in this match and executed a few moves and surprised Angle and dominated him almost, and then Angle had somehow, maybe Angle just got the ankle lock on,
got the better of him, and
I think you do a better job of building Cena up probably with the fans than you do having what happens here.
And then you could have had him, the determination kicking in, and he's having to work his way for another title shot and all that, and then gets the shot, and you could have him even just come up short again and that kind of thing, and that'd be a really good way to build someone. But
especially when you're going into Royal Rumble season, we're in September, you've got a really good opportunity to have him start again and say, put him at number 1 in the Rumble, and if Bischoff's got a vendetta against them and have him make it all the way and maybe just not quite make it, you've got 2 titles, he could still get a title shot somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Just to have him get dominated in all these matches and then at FU come out of nowhere and the 5-knuckle shuffle and all that and just win, it's just all a bit tedious and boring.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a bit depressing, but it really is quite difficult to watch, especially when how in we are on Angle at this point. Mm-hmm. And I think the fans are too.
Yeah.
I never want to hear the phrase chain gang again. Do you want Cena in the chain gang? Like, at least if he had a faction of guys that were like, I don't know, the chain gang, but we're supposed to just take the WWE universe as being the chain gang. How does this end up finishing?
So, wait a minute, where's my notes towards the end? Okay, so
it's all about
Angle's getting into some offense, Bischoff walks down, ankle lock on Cena, Bischoff's like screaming in Cena's face, telling him to say goodbye to the title.
Kyoto's been bumped.
Yeah, that's right. Now, Kyoto, I think, just comes to as Cena smacks Angle with the belt. The ref has just come to, so sees that and disqualifies Cena.
That's how Angle gets the win, but yeah. I just think you see that and you just think, all right, so they're going to do it again the next pay-per-view, and then Cena will probably win the next pay-per-view, which I'm fairly sure is exactly what happens.
Angle goes absolutely nuts. He's so good at doing that kind of thing, but when he's going after Cena after the match, he's going absolutely nuts, which I've always loved seeing him do. It's like he's just totally snapped. But then he goes to try and Angle slams Cena on the announce table, and Cena reverses it and FU's Angle on the announce table, and that annoyed me as well. I would have just rather see Angle going crazy, absolutely destroying him, and then leaving him lying.
And that'd be the last thing you see before the pay-per-view goes off air.
Yeah.
JR giving it, my God, what's happened? What's going to happen? Yeah, a not bad pay-per-view probably.
I think
probably Hardy Edge the best match.
I think as a whole, I maybe enjoyed this one more than the last couple of shows. Thought there were a few matches I got quite into. So yeah, a decent show. It's just I think you're left deflated by the main event.
Yep, agreed. Defo. Okay, So that was September. I'll quickly run you through where Edge goes from here, because Edge doesn't wrestle a pay-per-view match again until January.
As long as you are not going to say the words Edge and Lita against John Cena and Ashley as like some sort of tag match.
Oh, rest assured, that's not coming. Okay, so we've got Taboo Tuesday as the next pay-per-view. That's obviously the fans get to vote on who's in certain matches. So Matt Hardy has been traded to SmackDown, and it's going to be Chris Masters in a tag match against Rey Mysterio, and then I think the crowd got to pick, so it's Edge is picked and Matt Hardy is picked. Poor Christian. Christian's gets like 13% of the vote, and that's his last pay-per-view. It's like Christian and the fans are like, oh, they killed the guy. They killed him.
Sometimes you don't know what you've got till it's gone.
Absolutely. So Edge comes out with Masters, and Lita says that he won't be wrestling tonight, and then Edge says, this doesn't further my career to have to beat Ray or Matt Hardy again. What does that do for me? Absolutely nothing. And just walks to the back. He says, I've got a replacement, and it comes Snitsky. It's just like chucked into various angles, wherever it suits. So he doesn't wrestle on then.
Okay.
The following Raw, we get Bischoff pissed off, brings Edge and Lita out to the ring, and he says, for your sort of insubordination, I assume that Snitsky and Masters get beat by Matt and Ray. For your behaviour at Taboo Tuesday, I'm sending you to SmackDown this Friday, and you're facing Batista in a street fight.
Okay.
So they go to SmackDown. We're all set up for Batista, who's the champion, on SmackDown versus Edge in a street fight. However, as this is all going on, we begin to realise that it's all a ruse. A lot of Raw guys attack loads of SmackDown guys in the parking lot, and then you get Big Show, Kane, a few other guys coming in through the SmackDown crowd, and they beat up Batista. And it's all setting up Survivor Series, Raw versus SmackDown Survivor Series. So it was all a ruse, and Bischoff and Edge and Lita were all in cahoots. Unfortunately, in this time, so this was quite, I guess, this was quite a big angle. I guess probably one of the first times that they ever did this whole red versus green and all that sort of stuff, and it was generally quite cool the way they did it. And it finished on this sort of big crescendo with, like I say, Kane standing tall over Batista, and all these huge guys had beat him up. You go to Raw expecting what's the blowback going to be and all that. Unfortunately, that's when we get the Eddie Guerrero tribute show, and Eddie's passed away. So we get all the sort of, we get a few matches intercut between superstars talking about good times with Eddie and all that sort of stuff. So it's a real dinger. By the time we get to Survivor Series, Edge is not on the card. He comes out just before the main event, and he's promoting his new show, The Cutting Edge, which is going to be on Raw, in the same vein as Piper's Pit and The Love Show and all that sort of stuff. So the first episode is supposed to feature Ric Flair, but this must have been around at a time where Flair got involved in some sort of road rage type incident. Did he beat somebody up on the highway?
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Okay.
So Edge is destroying him. He's got his mugshot up on the Titantron, and he's like ripping at him and Lita. So Sergeant Slaughter and Michael Hayes come down, and this is where I sent you this clip where, we're a week removed from them talking about Eddie Guerrero and all the amazing things he's done career, and Edge is like, where's your friend Terry? Where's Terry Gordy? I'll tell you where he is. He's dead.
Just don't do that.
It's just
nah.
Nah. So from here on, this must be mid-November. Edge from week on week is just running down Ric Flair every week on Raw.
Hmm.
It's
Weird.
so bizarre.
Yeah.
It is so, but like he's went from Money in the Bank to Kane, which sort of pops up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Then the Matt Hardy thing sort of fell in their lap.
Mhm.
Then you've got him, Ric Flair's Intercontinental Champion, and he's running down Ric Flair. It's all quite
It's
odd.
so weird when you know where they're pushing him for that to be the path. It's weird.
So that right at the start of January, what is it? Something like the 6th of January episode of Raw. I think Flair returns and gives him a doing.
Okay.
And that sets up the match at next pay per view.
Okay.
So that's how we get there. Some weird, like you say, some unknown path to where we're going. So that leads us to Adam. New Year's Revolution 2006. Would you like me to run down the card?
Yeah, do it.
You know what I did? I was looking it up and I put in, because I've just been used to putting in 2005, I put in New Year's Revolution 2005. I was like, oh my god, this card looks amazing.
Oh,
and I realised it's 2006
yeah.
that I wanted.
No, I got it.
So, I forgot this. One last thing of what's been going on. JR gets fired. In between this time, JR gets fired. Can't remember what for, but they have like Vince in the ring tearing into him, and Stephanie in the ring tearing into him. Just, you know what they used to be like with JR?
Yeah.
Being horrible about him. And Linda McMahon's music hits, and she comes down, and all the crowd are giving it like, oh yes, she's going to be on the good side and all that sort of stuff. And she fires JR and like calls him something horrible.
Oh.
And he's just left there in the ring on his own, sort of standing, looking at them like, why did they do this to poor JR? I think that's the last time he's on TV for a while.
Right. Ugh, brutal.
So the commentary team for New Year's Revolution is Lawler, Coach, and Joey Styles.
Oh, weird. Okay.
So, Intercontinental title match, Ric Flair versus Edge.
Yeah, seems weird too, but,
yeah. WWE Women's title match, Trish Stratus versus Mickie James.
Oh, that Mickie James was quite a good worker.
Aye.
Yeah, that might be all right.
Singles match, Gregory Helms, so Hurricane is gone, versus Jerry Lawler.
Okay.
Here's the. Please tell me this goes 20 minutes. Triple H versus The Big Show. What?
Oh no! It'll go ages, and I'm just not sure Big Show's going to be able to do that.
This card is horrible. Shelton Benjamin, accompanied by Shelton's mama.
Oh no! Don't do this.
Versus Viscera.
Oh no!
Who is Shelton's mama?
Oh, I can picture it's going to be absolutely horrendous.
Do you remember this? Was that a gimmick?
I think this woman turned up for a while. Yeah, don't know if it's his actual mum.
It gets worse.
I think maybe not his actual mum, but yeah.
Okay. Bran Panty's gauntlet match.
Oh no.
Mean Gene Victoria versus Tori Wilson versus Candice Michelle versus Maria versus Ashley.
Oh no.
Shocking. And then the main event is an Elimination Chamber match for John Cena's World Heavyweight, World WWF, whatever it is. John Cena, Carlito, Kane, Kurt Angle with Daivari.
Oh yeah, he was with Daivari for a wee bit.
Chris Masters and Shawn Michaels.
Chris Masters is getting in the chamber. Okay.
Cena, Carlito, Kane, Angle, Masters, Michaels.
I think even like
strange mix. How's Triple H managed to
leave himself out of it? I would have watched this and thought, right, I could see Cena retaining. I could see Michaels winning. I could see Angle winning. Maybe Kane. Maybe. There is no chance Carlito or Masters are winning this. I would have known that watching.
Aye. Do you know who wins that match?
No, I can't remember.
Okay. So there we go.
Okay.
I've never seen a New Year's Revolution.
Yeah, I was thinking, was it New Year's Revolution that was one of the worst pay-per-views ever? But it was December to Dismember. It was one of the worst
The
pay-per-views ever.
ECW, that had an Elimination Chamber in it as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
CM Punk should win and whatever it was.
Yeah, we wanted him to, like, I think personally eliminate everyone. Yeah. Yeah.
The Big Show in it.
Was it Big Show that won that? Yeah.
It's crazy to think that they made Big Show and Batista ECW champion.
It's really weird. They made Kurt Angle ECW champion, and I think I get that a bit more. I mean, he's maniacal a lot of the time, but he's a brilliant wrestler. I have a feeling they maybe made Orton ECW champion as well.
Vince was ECW champion. Do you remember Vince wore a do-rag and he was like acting like that?
Yeah.
That was after Trump shaved his head, it must have been.
Yeah, it will have been.
Oh. He's saying like, oh God. What's up, homies, and all that sort of stuff he was saying when he came out to the ring.
Imagine he'd had this creepy wee moustache when he was doing that.
He's off his rocker, eh?
Yeah.
Legitimately. That pay-per-view sounds honking, but that may mean that it's all right.
We'll have fun tearing into it if it's not.
There you go.
Yeah.
We're in the Pepsi Center in Albany, New York. Could
Okay.
that mean Chicago Phil makes an appearance?
Possibly.
Highly unlikely.
Possibly. Nah.
I think he maybe debuted. 2006 he debuts in WWE CW.
When was he, like, there was a thing about he was one of the people that was involved in a Cena entrance or something before he was actually on a
I think that's Mania 22. They're dressed as gangsters.
Yeah, that was right.
I think that's the Mania coming.
Okay, yeah.
We can try and spot them. That will highlight this show. There you go. Do you think you can put some members of the cast still lost?
I'm confident.
Who will you be casting as Shelton's mama?
Yeah, I'd probably rather pretend that whole thing just doesn't happen. I think it's horribly over the top in the way it's done.
Shocking.
Yeah.
No Kerwin White on that.
Did they just kind of get rid of that after Eddie died?
I think so. It was his only. I read that Kerwin White only had one pay-per-view.
Right. Okay.
So.
Yeah.
So there you go. The Eddie episode of Raw was horrible.
Tough going. Yeah.
Horrible. Benoit stuff. Triple H quite emotional.
Yeah. I can imagine he was very, very popular. He obviously had his guys, but I can imagine he was generally very popular. I've heard Angle on his pod talking about how he loved him, but they used to get in little scraps and stuff like that because Eddie kept trying to wrestle him, take him down and stuff.
I read that too. It's classy.
Brilliant.
What was it? I can't remember why I ended up. I'm just thinking this because of Triple H and like a sort of tribute show. I was watching the one. I'd been speaking to you about Over the Edge '99, and I watched the Raw, the Owen Hart tribute Raw show. Do you remember anything from it?
Not really.
Triple H is like wildly emotional, and China says something like, "We always loved Owen as a friend," which I thought was a really weird thing to say. And Triple H, the first thing he says, like the worst backhanded compliment, is like, "Oh, Owen, he was never a piece of trash."
Wow. How would that be what you would say? That's such a weird thing to say.
Like your go-to description for some days is that they're a piece of trash, but he was never one. Yeah. So odd. He never said that about Eddie.
Yeah, I think those are two that hit a lot of people pretty hard.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a aye. That idea one was tough to watch. I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, I'll skip that.
And he got his win over Rey Mysterio on SmackDown before.
Ah, yeah, I remember you'd mentioned that he did get one. Yeah.
So there we go. We're nearly there. We've got New Year's Revolution, we've got Royal Rumble, and we've got WrestleMania.
Okay. Yeah. Getting close.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
So we will do New Year's Revolution next. We'll watch some Lost. Who are you going to cast as the Smoke Machine, or who are you going to use as Smoke Machine to cast?
I'm gonna need to put a lot of thought into this.
Do you think you can watch the full? How many seasons of Lost was there?
Too
many.
5? I met lots of people bowed out after like season 2. I think
you watched all, though, didn't you?
I did. I kept going. It's one of those where I decided I'd invested enough time. I had to see it through to the end.
Yeah, same. At one point, I think like the penultimate season, I was like, I'm literally watching this because I need to see it through. I'm not even enjoying it anymore.
Yeah, like I had something like that with The Walking Dead actually. Because again, loads of people had just stopped quite early, but I kept going, and it's like they've announced when the final season's going to be, so I may as well just get there and see it through.
Really?
But there's no enjoyment in it anymore.
I was going to say I only made it to halfway through season 3, I think, but I feel like I'm still making my way through that. But I mean, it's been about 4 years since I last watched an episode. Then I watch an episode and I'm like, this is why I stopped. It's the same episode again and again.
Yeah, just stick with The Sopranos.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Loving The Sopranos. Loving it.
Nice.
I was thinking like we could use that to cast, but you've got like 5 or 6 seasons, 6 seasons.
Yeah.
To use, and I've only watched the first 10 episodes. So.
Yeah, maybe at some point in the future.
Later on.
Yeah.
Right. We shall speak in 2 weeks, and I will see you next Tuesday. Try not to be in. See you next Tuesday. That's not working, is it? I need to go and find a TV program that aligns with a former WWF faction for the next. I had the OC versus OC and Bloodline versus the Bloodline.
Yeah.
Heart of Dixie versus the Heart Foundation.
Tenuous, but yeah, I think you can do better.
We can find better. Okay, right. We shall speak in 2 weeks. Take it easy.
Cool. Cheers.